Welcome. In the journey of self-realization, we found that conventional self-improvement methods might not be the answer to true freedom. Let's explore this topic through some key questions. Today's guest is Elias Stasinos. Elias, welcome. Please tell us, why might conventional self-improvement approaches fall short in achieving true enlightenment and liberation from suffering?
Conventional self-improvement methods often focus on enhancing the ego or changing our thoughts and behaviors. However, that is exactly what the ego is. It is your personality. It is how you feel, how you think, and how you act. That is what the law of attraction and people like Anthony Robbins and Joe Dispenza, as well as others that talk about epigenetics and the mind and heart connection and agreement. While these can lead to positive changes, they don't address the root cause of our discontent. Yes, temporarily, reading self-improvement books and attending these self-improvement retreats may help you, but only temporarily. You may change from a negative character to a positive character, but you will eventually go back to the negative and suffer again, and perhaps more. You see, friend, I did all these, including hypnosis, and most of these techniques are just that, a new programming, a new hypnosis of the ego personality. You will perhaps improve, but it will be the improvement of your ego personality, the very thing that is the root of all your problems. It is our identification with the personality, ego mind, that is the problem. The ego is the source of negative thoughts, and our identification with it leads to anxiety, pain, and suffering. It's important to recognize that negative thoughts often stem from unfulfilled desires. While pursuing goals like wealth, power, and status, whether through techniques like the law of attraction or other self-improvement methods, can be motivating, can also be destructive. It is destructive because it also has the potential to intensify feelings of envy, desire, and frustration when these ambitions go unrealized. This frustration, in turn, fuels more negative thoughts. Ambition, when unchecked, can breed envy. Envy is the desire to possess what others have. Thus, the cycle of desire, frustration, and negativity is perpetuated. Now I know, you are going to hack this, huh? You're not going to be entangled back in the ego web of negativity. However, let's analyze that. Ask yourself why you want to learn about the law of attraction or attend a self-improvement seminar. The answer in 99% of the cases is that you want to improve your finances. You want that big house. You want that Lamborghini, and perhaps the women that go with it. But friend, if you are in the path of enlightenment, if you were awakened by a realization that there is something wrong with the ego-driven rat race, stay in the path of enlightenment. Retreating into illusions, whether they're akin to Plato's cave, the matrix, or the concept of samsara, only deepens one's entanglement in the web of delusion. Desire, like a relentless crocodile, drags one further into the depths of samsara, making escape increasingly difficult, if not impossible. This struggle is poignantly illustrated by the tale of Dr. Faustus. Dr. Faustus sold his soul to the devil and fulfilled his desires, but realized they were all tasteless, dead. Despite his fervent prayers and attempts to reach towards God, seeking to reclaim his pure heart, the weight of his ambition and greed rendered his arms too heavy. He found himself unable to lift them high enough to return to a life of spiritual grace. The insatiable nature of desire perpetuates a cycle of suffering. Each fulfilled wish inevitably spawns new longings, creating an endless loop of discontent. Recognizing this, one realizes that pursuing desires is akin to courting trouble. It's in this context that the great teacher's wisdom resonates profoundly. The state following so-called self-improvement, often rooted in desire fulfillment, may leave one 7 times worse off than before. This cautionary insight suggests that conventional self-improvement, by intensifying our attachment to desires, might deepen our entanglement in suffering rather than alleviating it. He also said that it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of the needle than a rich person to enter the kingdom of God. These things will be added upon you, he said, but first seek the kingdom. Seek to be self-realized, to know yourself. The kingdom is inside us. The King, God, is inside us in his kingdom. When you realize yourself, you will realize God, because he said, "You are God's. These things will be added upon you, because every good thing comes from God." Entering the kingdom, realizing our true nature as awareness rather than body or mind, is a profound challenge. The irony lies in its simplicity. What we seek is our ordinary, ever-present consciousness. Yet this very simplicity belies the difficulty. The task is twofold. First, to recognize this fundamental awareness, then to fully identify with it, shedding our deeply ingrained identifications with body and mind. This shift in perspective, though seemingly straightforward, often requires dedicated practice and unwavering commitment. Even if we momentarily identify with our awareness, it still eludes us because there is a deep ingrained identification with the body and mind as our so-called self-concept. Concept means an idea, a thought, a conviction in our minds that we are the body and mind. We need to remember again what we are because these identifications made us forget it. In the mind, it is ingrained that we are the ego personality, because as psychologists say, it is because of deep ingrained convictions that are just beliefs, thoughts. In the body, as neuroscientists say, the brain creates a map of our body. The brain creates the map and imprints it in our nervous system so we can move around easier. These deep, ingrained beliefs are so powerful that it takes knowledge to understand them and eliminate them. Not even my powerful Kundalini experience could really cut it. That is, set me free. Note that the Kundalini experience does clean your nervous system from all the negative patterns and the identification patterns, but the patterns are not forgotten. They are just there but loose. That is why the Kundalini or any other experience does not grant you self-realization, which sets you free from suffering. Self-realization occurs when a guru, or a video such as this one, tells you what it is to be self-realized. Then you experience it. You need to choose the path of knowledge to reach the self-realization experience because it is about recognizing, knowing ourselves. So the path of knowledge applies because ignorance requires knowledge. Even after self-realization, ingrained patterns of bodily and sometimes mind identification persist. However, with the intellectual understanding and direct experience of oneself as pure awareness, these patterns gradually diminish. Over time, one's sense of identity shifts, aligning more closely with awareness itself rather than the physical and mental forms. True freedom comes from recognizing our essential nature as awareness, which is beyond the mind and ego. Self-improvement gurus might help you build a better self-image, but they rarely guide you to question who you fundamentally are. Self-improvement is about making the self, our ego and personality, better. It's like redecorating a house. Self-realization, on the other hand, is recognizing that you're not the house at all, but the space in which the house appears. It's a fundamental shift in identity from being a separate self to recognizing oneself as the awareness in which all experiences occur. The journey to self-realization often starts with questioning our assumptions about who we are. This can involve practices like self-inquiry, meditation, or studying non-dual teachings.
What role does the mind play in self-realization?
Initially, we use the mind to understand teachings and engage in practices. However, ultimately, self-realization is about recognizing what is beyond the mind. The mind is a tool in the journey, but it can't grasp or become what we truly are. It's like using a flashlight to search for the sun. Useful at first, but eventually you need to look directly.
Can you describe the process of recognizing oneself as awareness? You said that it often involves a gradual stripping away of false identifications. We first recognize that we are not our thoughts or emotions. Then, the identification with the body and mind might weaken.
Yes, here is a list. These are all false identifications. That is, they are not who you are. Thoughts, emotions, personality, social roles, career, achievements, possessions, nationality, ethnicity, gender, age, beliefs, opinions, memories, desires, fears, ego, name, appearance, skills, talents, relationships, social status, education, intelligence, reputation, past experiences, future expectations, and more. False identification with cultural conditioning, religious affiliations, political views, personal preferences, habits, addictions, neuroses, trauma responses, self-image, personal narrative, likes and dislikes, sensory experiences, knowledge, titles, labels, group memberships, and your body are all false identifications. Finally, there's a recognition that you are the awareness in which all experiences, including thoughts and bodily sensations, appear. This awareness is not something new or special. It's the ordinary, everyday consciousness that's always present.
How does self-realization affect one's daily life?
After self-realization, life often becomes simpler and more peaceful. There's less struggle against what is, and a natural flow to life emerges. You might find yourself less reactive, more content, and with a spontaneous desire to help others. However, it's important to note that this is usually a gradual process of integration, not an instant transformation.
Are there any common misconceptions about self-realization?
Yes, several. One is the idea that it's a dramatic, blissful state. In reality, it's often a simple recognition of what's always been present. Another is the belief that it means the end of all problems or emotions. While it brings a profound peace, human experiences continue. The difference is in how these experiences are perceived and related to. Now, how does one maintain this realization in everyday life? It's not so much about maintaining as it is about deepening and integrating. The initial recognition might be clear, but old habits of identification can persist. It involves a continuous resting as awareness while engaging with life. Practices like self-inquiry or mindfulness can help, but ultimately, it's about living from this understanding in each moment.
Can you speak about the role of teachers or teachings in this journey?
Teachers and teachings play a crucial role. They can provide clear pointers to our true nature and help navigate common pitfalls. However, the ultimate recognition is deeply personal and direct. A good teacher points you back to yourself, helping you recognize what you already are, rather than giving you something new to achieve or become.
What advice would you give to someone starting on this path?
Be patient and persistent. Question your assumptions about who you are. Seek authentic teachings and teachers. Remember that what you're looking for is not something new or special, but the very awareness that's reading these words right now. And most importantly, don't turn self-realization into another goal for the ego to achieve. It's about recognizing what's already here, not becoming something different. Self-realization isn't about becoming better. It's about seeing your true nature. It is about recognizing who you are. This understanding brings lasting peace and fulfillment. If the problem is identification with the ego, mind, and body, then the solution must be identification with our true nature, our awareness. This is not about adding anything to yourself, but it is about recognizing and identifying with your true nature that's always been present. Until next time, rest in the awareness that you are. Created by Elias Stasinos. Ask questions below in the comments and hit the like button and subscribe if you found this useful.